What's going on, people? Welcome to the match preview show as we face United. On the cameras are on us as the game is going to be televised in the UK and across the world. 5:30 kickoff. We beat QPR, but it doesn't feel like it. But trust me, we'll be discussing that and more. Make sure to get involved by leaving down your thoughts in the comment section down below, as well as dropping a like and subscribing if you're new to the channel. Please, it helps us out massively. So thank you to every single one of you that has done that. I'm joined by Nick, who was at the game against QPR, AJ and Stan, who done the match reaction show. How are we feeling, gents? And that's I normally do ask this question, but I feel like after the QPR game, it's only right that I do ask the whole panel how they're feeling, because the general feeling, even for some of the viewers, is that they're not happy despite us going through to the next round. I'll start off with you, Nick, because you was at the game. How was it? How are you feeling today?
I'm all right as it goes, because you only play the team that's in front of you. We were very disjointed. There were lots and lots of misplaced passes, but we did enough to win the game. I haven't really looked at social media since yesterday, because I knew it would be like that. The fact is that QPR, they had two out of their back four missing. So I've looked at QPR forums today, and they said they were very happy with how they played, considering that half of their team were reserves. So not only did we put out a strong team, we did struggle to beat QPR. But the fact is, we won. That's how many games unbeaten is that now?
Four.
Four. So
quietly as well, it doesn't feel like we're on a 4-game unbeaten run because of the general feeling on social media. Look, I haven't been on it as much, but when I logged on yesterday after full time, when I say log on, I'm always logged in. But when I went on the app, it was like you would have thought we lost. People talking about Kamada, people talking about just a general performance. Nick, you've mentioned it. You was there as well. It's not good enough. But Stan, do you think the comments about the game are fair? Because even you said it yesterday about the match reaction show. And does it worry you facing Man United, who we beat 4-0 last season?
No, I don't think we'll beat them 4-0, but I'm not worried. I'm echoing Nick's sentiment. I watched the game. Listen, Loftus Road is an old school football ground, intimidating place to go, 14,000 capacity. The camera angle was so bad there, or the gantry is so bad that you can barely see the right-hand side. Their fans are going to be up for it. Whatever team they play, they're going to be up for it. Loads of teams have struggled to get through yesterday. Spurs struggled today. And like you said Palace are 4 games unbeaten. All right, no win at the moment, but they've signed some really good players. And nothing's changed. We've got a brilliant manager. It's early in the season. Seriously, people need to stop complaining.
Yeah, well, AJ, I don't know exactly how you feel 24 hours after the QPR game and looking ahead to the United game. But as I've asked Stan, do you understand people's frustrations, though, about the performances and just about individual players? I mean, Kamada's been mentioned once again. Kamada's not a midfielder. That's what he will struggle in midfield because he's not a midfielder, especially over here in the, whether that's a Carabao Cup, whether that's the Premier League. He just defensively, that's not his game. So especially playing a 2-man midfield, that's not his game. But a few other players I will talk about as well. But how are you feeling?
I'm not going to get sucked into the negativity. As far as I'm concerned, we're into the Carabao Cup for the first in this far in the Carabao Cup for the first time in 5 years. I'm still convinced the team's still gelling together. I'm just not buying, man. Yeah, granted, there's been a couple of games that we should have maybe got a better result in, but let's be real, man. We're in the next round of in the League Cup, which we never get that far, ever. And we're not really in danger in terms of the Premier League, to be fair. So it will come together. And when it does click, I think people are going to kind of look very silly, to be fair. I think you just got to give the manager a new time, man. I mentioned this on the show yesterday. There's been a few key elements in our team that have been taken out or we've sold. And we put in some decent quality in there. And as soon as that quality starts gelling together and we've got a better team cohesion, I feel like the team's going to kick on. I honestly cannot do. I'm not concerned. I'm not worried about Man United. I'm not getting sucked into any of this stuff. I think that's just a bit. We're in a day and age where people will find something to moan about no matter what. We could have won that game 4-0. I'm pretty sure somebody would have found something to whine and complain about.
Could have been 5.
You know what I mean? It should have been 5, should have been 6. But in all fairness, I would have been happy if we went through another game on penalties. The most important thing is the end result. And it's not pretty the way things is right now, but just hold fire. Let things cook a little bit still. And I think we'll be fine. I'm not concerned whatsoever.
I think what doesn't help is Twitter in particular has just become so toxic, whatever you're talking about, that I think it's rubbing off on other people. That's why I've stopped posting on there so much, because it's, I will still put the match pictures and whatever up, but you can put a picture of a cat and the next thing you're a Nazi. It's just ridiculous on Twitter, isn't it?
Or someone will say, it's not a dog.
Everyone wants to debate. But then again, okay, go ahead.
But one thing I wanted to say about the game yesterday, I've noticed the last 2 or 3 games, and I think I mentioned it to you on the last show I was on, but Eza, yes, he scored the goal, but I'm a little bit worried about his decision making. Should he be releasing the ball a bit earlier, or should he be running with rather than releasing the ball? I wonder what other people think, if it's just me that's picked it up. But I've noticed it in the last 3 games. Yes, he's done good things, but he's done a lot of things that maybe he would have done differently before.
Sometimes he does slow the game down, which you can see it even when you watch on TV or at the games. Like, he wants to play at his own pace. Sometimes you're thinking, hold up, instead of playing in gear 1, just go gear 2, gear 3. Like, take it on to the opponents. Don't slow the game down. Don't let them get in their position. But it's not just him. I mean, a few plays. Nick, you was there yesterday, and you even said it before we started recording that sometimes it was us giving them the through ball. But the reason why I'm not going to get carried away and lose it all and say, all right, that's it, Glasner's a fraud, whatever, which is crazy.
Stop it.
The fact that people are...
Nobody said that, have they?
Huh?
Have people been saying he's a fraud?
Yeah, but there's some few people basically suggesting it. They're suggesting it.
There's people also, like, going back to like comments of like February time last year saying, the board is not fit for purpose, they haven't backed him. Like, hello, like, I know, like, I was one of the biggest critics, but hello, like, they have backed him. Like, they've brought in some really good players. The club is finally progressing. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, if we had the same squad as last season and there weren't that many changes, then I'll say fair enough. Like, what is going on? Surely you should be continuing that momentum from last season to this season. But there have been a lot of changes. It might not feel like it, but there have been a lot of changes. There have been changes in terms of losing Elise, which was never going to be easy to replace. Anderson's left. We've lost figures like Jordan Ayew, which I know some people will laugh at that, but he was still a very important squad player. I'm not saying that.
Look at how he got the high five from Mateta as he was walking around the pitch. And I know some people scoffed at him getting a chant, especially when we were losing. I didn't chant.
But like, you saw how he played Saturday. Like, that he had an excellent game on Saturday. Do you know?
And we'll talk about Mateta because I asked a question about Sarr and it links to Mateta. But my point is, I mean, the last game that we played against Leicester, that was the first game of this Crystal Palace squad this season, especially with the new players coming in, which there's quite a few. And there has been a turnaround in terms of even players on the bench and players leaving. That was the first game. This is the second game. Yes, we've had a pre-season, but Glasner said it as well. The likes of even Gahey has been training more with England than he has with Glasner at the football club. Like, it is still very early on in terms of the Glasner era. I know last season was great, but with this squad, there's going to be hurdles along the way. But the good thing is we're not losing games. We're still through to the next round of the cup. We're still 4 games unbeaten. There is something to take from these 2 games onto the next game, and there are improvements as well, Stan, that are needed. I get that.
So D, I'm going to raise a couple of points here. The first one is that we as a fan base, some people on socials are coming for new players just because Lacroix hasn't got the passing range and isn't Anderson, right? Like, you can see that he's not good enough. Like, he's played 1 game in the league and 1 game in the cup. How can you... And he's been okay. He's been fine. How can you tell me he isn't good enough, right? He's played in a Champions League under Oliver Glasner with Wolfsburg, but he's not good enough for someone on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? And they're like, I don't like him. He's not this. He's not that. Like people have short memories as well. Did Mark Gay and Joachim Anderson build that partnership like that game one? Because I remember Gay had a couple of shockers early on.
Anderson did as
I
well.
remember Anderson
against Arsenal away.
Yeah,
Anderson had a lot of shockers, and
and
I remember the conversations were that Anderson at the time was like, "All right, cool. Look, he's playing for Palace. We can't get a player that's very good on the ball because he was still good on the ball, but you know he's going to struggle defensively. So there's going to be a balance. But then again, Anderson has improved over time. And saying that, just quickly, Stan, before you, sorry to interrupt you, but Lacroix actually had better passing stats, even in long ball stats, this past weekend in the Premier League than Joachim Anderson. It was a fact. You can go check it out.
So this is what I'm saying, right? That you're going there. But I remember like there was a game against Leicester. Elise come on second half, scored a goal, set one up or whatever. Joachim Anderson passed the ball straight to Jamie Vardy, who scored, right? So there's going to be teething problems. It's going to take some time. Also, I'm hearing anything below 8th or 9th is a failure. Like hold on a minute. Like, where is this coming from? Like where all of a sudden are like people expecting us to like absolutely take this league by storm. Like you said, we've lost so many key players. I would also like to just stop talking about Elise. I love him. He's going to go right to the top. He banged 2 goals yesterday, but he's gone. We need to move on from him.
Yeah, you are right. We do need to move on from
what we should do with these people is just reply with an hour-long video of Palace, George Burley era Palace highlights. Fucking moan about something.
But the thing is, though, I do understand the frustrations on the performance. I do get it because the performances in particular, they haven't been great. But it's the context behind why they haven't been great. It is a new team. This isn't the same Glasner side that we saw last season. It is a new team with the manager basically only, taking charge of this new team after deadline day because, some of these players have come after deadline day, especially some of the key players that's going to play important role. And even preseason, we didn't have a proper preseason. So there are reasons for why the performances are not there, but encouraging signs are it's not all doom and gloom. We're through to the next round of the cup. And just quickly, let's focus a bit more on United.
Before that, can we talk about Kamada in yesterday's game? He started off as a defensive midfielder alongside Lerma, was it? And then he moved forward a bit later on in the game. The poor bloke did his best. I'd like to see his heat map. It was all over the pitch, but we were talking about the board buying players in, and this time we've actually got players that we know Glasner has asked for. Before it was just the managers dealt with a player that fitted a certain criteria that they gave, and then Dougie found them and said, "Here you are." But Glasner wanted the cry and he wanted Kamada. Is he going to come good? Do you think? How long will it take for him to pick up the English game, and how difficult is it going to be for him if he's playing in lots of different positions? I mean, when we bought him, we thought he'd either play sort of wide or as a number 10 behind the striker. I'd never dreamt I'd see him in defensive midfield.
So, go on, mate.
No, I think he won't come good if he's playing in midfield, especially in the start. That's a simple fact. It was fairly obvious against West Ham. I think the thinking behind Glasner is that we're facing a championship side, so maybe he could do a role in midfield. But for me, he's not a midfielder, especially when you have 2 in midfield. There's just too much responsibility of him defensively, which he cannot do. That's not part of his game.
Did he ever play in that position in Germany?
No, he's a 10, Nick. He's an out-and-out 10. He's not even a 10. I think he's an out-and-out 10.
He has played in midfield, though. But I'm looking at the game here in terms of the physical demands of it, and we've seen it. It just doesn't work. He doesn't work in midfield. For me, he has to be playing as a number 10. But also, there's been, looking ahead to the United game, I've asked the question. A lot of people are saying Sarr needs to start. And the question is, who does it start ahead of? We kind of had this debate for the QPR preview and previous before. And a lot of people, AJ, I don't know about you, I was actually surprised by this. I was saying that Sarr should be starting ahead of Mateta. What do you think about Mateta's start to the season and those suggestions about Sarr having a start against United?
I think there's a few points I want to put across. So, let's start with the Mateta question that you just asked me, right? So I do feel like there is a bit of burnout there somewhere. It just looks that way. He scored a brace already this season. He scored a few more goals. He scored a few goals this season already, right? And
We're
I guess
complaining.
no, it still counts. We'll take him. But in all fairness, I think we have to be honest to ourselves and say that, you know what, the manager's still tinkering around with things. He's still sort of trying to figure out what the best 11 is, and I'm still convinced and so that Glasner will be doing that for a few games to come. The issue I've got, and obviously I don't want to go around in circles as such, but in terms of the Kamada element, and I guess even all the other new signers as well, what does good look like to them exactly? Are we talking eye test? Are we talking output in terms of goals and assists? Because Kamada and Nketiah and players like that already started doing that already. They've already scored goals for us this season. They've already hit the back of the net. They're already getting assists. So what exactly what exactly are we looking at? What are we judging Kamada? Because the thing that's really annoying me and winding me up is when we did have Elise hit, the forbidden word, he didn't rip up trees straight away, It took him a minute or two to get going, and he only scored a couple of goals here and there, and then he only got a couple of assists there and there, and then he created momentum and then started moving on.
AJ, in his first season, he disappeared in a lot of games. He wasn't one to take games by storm. It was only sort of, the years after that he was able to do that.
In his
Can you
defense,
make
he
the
was
argument?
playing Roybal.
Can you make? No, it wasn't. It was Vieira. It was Vieira.
Oh, that's Vieira, of course. Yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
Vieira.
And then it was
But, but can you make the argument that when you're looking at Kamada, he's a more experienced player that's already played under Glasner. So what's his excuse? Elise came in as a young boy from Reading, whereas Kamada's come in as a Europa League winning player.
New country, new language, new system,
and
more physical league.
I think he's a 10. If you play him as 10, he'll probably be half decent. If you play him defensive mid, you play him left wing, you play him right wing, you're going to get 50% out of him.
Yeah, I agree.
Just to go back to answering Dee's original question, I would like to see Sarr start, but do I want it to start over Mateta? I'm not so sure. I think Sarr's definitely looked bright coming on. He's definitely had an impact in terms of the sort of substitute appearance he's had. I probably look Sarr on the pitch, to be fair. I don't know if I'd be particularly sold on dropping Mateta as such, because I feel like Mateta's, he's been good, but he hasn't been as air quote world class as he sort of ended the end of last season. But at that being said, he is still a threat, and he's still a physical threat up front. And I feel like for a Man United defense that is gelling and molding themselves, I think Mateta would be the ideal sort of player to come and really test that.
Yeah.
And test that height in the box. De Ligt and Martinez ain't particularly renowned for their height, bless them. So why would you not throw Mateta in a mix in a game like that against a Man United side that can be got at home?
The other thing I would say is, like, people are saying that he hasn't started the season well. Okay, so he got 2 against Norwich. Is it 2 he got against Norwich?
1.
Yeah. Then they get 2 against Norwich, and then he got.
Oh, yeah, actually, he did.
He's got about 4 already.
Mateta and Kamada, wasn't it, against Norwich?
Yeah. So he got him. So Kamada, Sarr, and he got 2, and Mateta got 2, right? So apparently, according to some fans, he couldn't trap a bag of sand on Saturday. Listen, I'm not saying he had his best performance. I'm not saying he was worldly, but he still got 2 goals, right? Yeah. So are you going to drop, like, he's in relative form. He's got 2 goals in 4 games.
Oh, he's got 4. He scored 2 against
4 goals in 4 goals.
He's not dropping. Mateta's not getting dropped.
So he's a goal a game at the moment. So I don't think you're dropping Mateta. I'd like.
Sarr didn't even start the game against QPR, which says it all. So I don't think he's going, like, he came on. He has an impact. Don't get me wrong. But there's a difference in terms of players starting the game and players coming on and having an impact when the defense is a bit more tired. I think Sarr's got the pace to hurt the defense, but I wouldn't start him against United, in my honest opinion. I understand some people do want to see a bit of change, but we need to have this 11 going to build that chemistry. Still early on. It's only 2 games that we played.
I loved him when he came on. just the balls over the top. He did look mustard, Sarr. I'll give him that. And to stretch tired defences, it's good. And the fact is, look, we're in a game. We're at the position in a game now where you've got 5 subs. So we need that depth because Man United's 5 subs are going to be worth a lot more than our 5 subs. Whether they'll be better, that they bring on, they're not even the name subs. I just wanted to go back to Kamada quick. I've just had a look on who scored yesterday. We're saying he's not midfielder. We actually won 5 tackles out of 8 attempts. He was dribbled past 3 times. He won 1 aerial, which was an offensive one. But yeah, I was surprised by that.
I would say as well, going back to your 5 subs thing, this is like one of the first seasons that we actually have 5 players that we can bring on that'll actually do something, make a difference, whether that's, see a game out or make something happen. Like we actually have that. And, I think he doesn't refer Oliver Glasner to players as subs. He refers to some of them as finishers. So there's obviously your starters and your finishers, right? So that's what I would say.
Coming like a prequel smell.
Exactly.
Can I just say one more thing about the QPR game? I went with Patrick, and he's not here to defend himself. But one of the best bits of the game was when he was punched over with his fingers crossed. Please end the
What was he doing?
He's crossed over, got his fingers crossed. He was bent over going, please end the jinx. Please end the jinx. That was real. That happened.
I'll be doing the same in November, Nick, because I haven't seen them win in person since 2015. So
that is crazy. It's 2015. You don't need to stay back home. Don't come here. Close the borders.
They got to win. I can't see them win.
What's going on?
Huh?
You're not coming here jinxing the place out. Patrick coming here. You're not seeing Palace winning the league. You're not. What's going on? What is going on?
Well, he's broken it now, so that's good.
But nah. I mean, against United, I am still confident. I don't know about you lot, but United haven't been that great. They beat Southampton 3-0, even before the penalty that Southampton missed. Southampton win the game. They've had the game against Brighton as well. Then they haven't really improved as much. I don't think it's going to be a 4-0 game, but I do think there's an opportunity in terms of free hits, which Glasner doesn't do. Does any of you have that mentality that it's still Man United? So we'll, if we leave with nothing, that's fine.
No, it's not the same Man United. They're just not the same Man United. They're not as scary as they once were before. And let's be honest, their league form is not amazing. And it's going to be at Sellers. The crowd's going to be up for it. I think we're going to be just a week or a week closer to getting the team up to scratch and getting that cohesion going. I'm not prepared to sit down and lay down and just let Man United turn up and do a madness. Nah.
Yeah, I think the expectations are there going into the game, which is good. Even the demands from the QPR game, which people, as I've said, I know why they are annoyed. There is a reason. I get it. I get the frustrations, but then for me, the only thing that's keeping me calm right now is the context. But against United, it's not a free hit for Glasner. It's not a free hit for the fans. It's at home. We're beating a 4-0 last season. I'm not saying we should be beating a 4-0, but let's move on to the score predictions. I'm still looking at where our next win is going to come from, which, I mean, after United, we've got Everton. So if we don't get a result here, then it has a bit more pressure. But let's go around. Who wants to start with their prediction against United? Go ahead, AJ.
2-1 Palace.
2-1. AJ saying we're getting our first win. Nick?
I was going to say the same, 2-1 Palace. I think Rashford will still be like Ten Hag's ketchup, coming out of the bottle a bit quicker now. He's had a good shake. Did you hear that last week? Ten Hag describing his goal scoring ability like ketchup. And I think Mateta will carry on scoring. Yesterday was the first time in ages he hadn't scored. So, yeah.
I'll say my prediction, Stan, before you say yours. I do think this game suits us. Let's see how United set up, but I don't think United's going to come to Palace and sit back. If they do, then it might be a bit more difficult because we saw it in the Chelsea game. When the space is open and behind, especially in the second half, when we've got the right players on the pitch, we can hurt teams. It's about breaking down the teams which don't allow us that many spaces. That's where the questions have been raised. So for me, I think Sellers, that's a big factor. United, like mentally, I know they beat Southampton, but you can, if you start strong, you can get at those players. They're still not strong enough, and a win should be coming somewhere. I predicted a win against Leicester, but I'm still going to predict a win in this game as well. I'm going to go for a 2-1 as well. I have to back the boys. And Nketiah, Eze, and Mateta on a counter. That is juicy. Stan, what do you think?
I'm going 2-0 Palace.
I can't believe it. We're facing Man United. We haven't won a game. It's funny. I like the optimism, but it's like the whole different spectrum in terms of what we spoke about here. In terms of what's going on Twitter. On Twitter, it feels like there's a whole meltdown. Everyone here has just predicted a win against Man United when we haven't won a game in the Premier League. But
man, bun Twitter, mate. Forget
we're deluded then.
We're
deluded, mate. We're deluded.
Let's see.
Drinking the Glasner Kool-Aid.
Let us know your score predictions in the comment section down below and your general thoughts ahead of the game. Thank you to all of you that's watched this. If you have enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and until next time, up the Palace.